Welcome to the Amiga Ireland podcast. I'm Jarlath, and with me today is Luke.
Hello.
And Rob.
Hello.
How are you doing, Rob? Any news?
What have I been doing? Actually, just today, I had my first proper go on a VR setup. So I was playing a couple of little games on a friend's PlayStation, and he had a full VR headset and controllers and all that. It's an interesting experience. It's great fun.
Cool. No nausea or sickness or anything after it?
No, it is very disorientating sometimes, but it's great fun, and it's like, if I had the money, I'd be all over that.
How about headaches? No headaches?
No, I wasn't playing for hours and hours. We were all taking turns in it, and I could see the potential if I was sitting there for half a day with it on. But it was good fun.
Are you tempted to add it to Elite Dangerous?
I'd be all over that in a heartbeat. Because I would dearly love it. Anyone who plays Elite with a headset will say it's game changing. Unfortunately, I've other demands on my finances at the moment. So
Yeah, priorities.
How about you, Luke? How have you been?
Quite alright, thank you very much. I've been browsing through Bitfellas Art City. It's a great demo scene graphics gallery. They've got a wide range of visual eye candy pictures, from a large selection of Amiga, Atari, C64, Spectrum and PCs. I strongly recommend to visit this one if you're interested in, demo scene graphics, because you can find just really nice pics down there. The pixel art is just amazing, Have a look.
We watched a movie here at home called Grabbers. It's on Netflix. It's absolutely brilliant. Anybody who's listening wants to check out a good sci-fi comedy. It's set in Ireland. It's all Irish actors. There's one British guy actually who plays the English scientist. It's hilarious. It is such a good film. They do a really, really good job. It's about an alien creature that's threatening the inhabitants of a remote Irish island, and their only defence is to go to the pub. That's the blurb on the box.
I heard about this a while ago. It sounds awesome. I'll have to check it out.
Cool. Okay, well, we go on to the news.
Okay.
Well, the Vampire team have announced that they support AGA now, and also that the Saga core will be open sourced. The link to that statement is in the show notes, and that's a pretty jaw-dropping statement from them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all looking exciting, so you can finally play AGA games on your 500 and 600.
Yeah, and even Amiga 1000.
Yeah, if you can shoehorn it in there, yeah.
Yeah.
Amiga AMP has been updated. There's an update released there just a few days ago, and it adds a few new features and the usual fixes and that. But I think everyone knows Amiga AMP at this stage. An MP3 player like Winamp, but they've added support for some other audio formats for shoutcast and icecast broadcasts, internet broadcasts, and it's changed how some of the low level stuff works as well. So it's well worth updating if it's a player that you use.
RS232 Wi-Fi modem is now available for sale, and if you like browsing BBSs and stuff like pre-Google, you'll find it very, very useful. Prices, as far as I remember, $48 American for the fully assembled kit, so worth buying if you haven't bought one yet.
Stephen Leary of Terrible Fire Accelerators has said that it's very possible that he can put an MP3 decoder into his FPGA, and there's a link to that thread in the show notes. It was an exchange happening on EAB, and that is very that's very appealing to me.
That'd be nice. Yeah, absolutely. This is interesting. There's a Kickstarter for a project called a Mixtape, personal MP3 player that's shaped like an old cassette tape. And I don't know I'm sure everyone here at least remembers it. The idea being that it's like a normal MP3 player, but you can also put it into a tape deck and actually play through the stereo that you put it into. So if you have an old car, or have a car that doesn't have a CD player or whatever in it, you can use that just to play your tunes straight through the stereo. It could be used standalone, and it takes a memory card, so you can put whatever amount of storage you want in it, and it's a great little project.
Cool. I think it has Bluetooth audio as well.
Yeah, it does, absolutely.
Which means it kind of does everything.
Yes, it does. It's fantastic.
There's a dedicated Amiga X5000, Amiga 1 X5000 blog. I can see Trevor wagging his finger at me. It's actually really good. There's quite a few posts on it already over the last couple of days. And it's interesting to follow something that's so specific to that one machine. It'll be a nice read, whether you have one of the machines or not. Also, Chris Hulsbeck has announced that he is releasing another Turrican album on Kickstarter. So he started a campaign and it's doing really well already. I backed his last one. I'm looking at it here in front of me, and I got this beautiful package in the post with 2 vinyl records with amazing artwork inside it, and CD. It's absolutely gorgeous. And that one was a Turrican 2. It was an orchestral album. So this one is going to cover the music from all of the Turrican albums. He's also going to include a Turrican 4 hypothetical album. If the game had been made, what music he would have included with it. I think another few tidbits. So the link will be in the show notes. You'll find it on Kickstarter.
I'm pretty sure you remember Amiga Socks. Do you remember them, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Amiga Coke as well. So Commodore 64's got now Commodore bandanas for sale, and the link will be in the show notes, including the picture of it as well. Would you be interested in buying one, guys?
I probably not. No, honestly.
To be honest, I'd love to see, for example, Axl Rose in Commodore's bandana singing
imagine,
singing "Sweet Child of Mine."
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as I remember, he was a big fan of bandanas, like late 80s, and beginning of the 90s.
Yeah, I'd be tempted to wear one to the next Amiga Ireland meetup, or one of those for a completely laugh, just taking the mick completely.
That reminds me, I'm sure I have an Amiga tie pin somewhere now. God knows where that came from, because it's not something I'd ever go out and buy. But someone gave me one years ago, and I saw it when I was moving house a while ago. It's like, what would you do with it? But anyways.
Right, another thing is the Project Pola album released at the end of May, and it is now available on Bandcamp. Project Pola is like punk electro, so like a mixture of electronic music and punk rock, so pretty exotic at the same time.
Yeah, I've seen those guys actually. They're really good.
Yeah.
I put it on in the car with the family, going for one of our drives. It didn't go down that well with everybody else maybe in the family, but I love it. Particularly the Apidia song on it. I forget what it's called now. It's got an unusual name. It's absolutely stunning. Okay, let's move on to the gaming section. Power Glove has been finished. It'll soon be released via rgcd.co.uk soon, in inverted commas, and Tiger Claw as well. And the link to the announcement will be in the show notes.
I look forward to this game, really. I've seen the Commodore 64 version, looks very smooth and very nice. The Amiga version seems to be a bit enhanced, looks really great.
Descent Free Space is now available as a download from Hyperion. It was released, many years ago anyway, for OS3. I played it through on my machine. It's a great game. It needed a patch to run on OS4 as far as I remember, but it worked great on OS4. But this is sort of a ready-to-go version that you can just download and run on OS4, and that's great news. You should try it out if you have an OS4 machine.
Good game. As far as I remember, I finished it on my PC, but that was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Very good one. Second part is great as well. Yeah.
And on OS 3.9, did it need PPC?
I think you can run it on 68K, but you have to have, like a very powerful 3D accelerating card. Voodoo, yeah.
Yeah, I had the Voodoo and an 060, and it was playable. It was, obviously, when there was a lot going on, it slowed down a bit, but, I was able to complete the game on that machine, so it's an impressive amount of stuff going on for such an old machine. With all of the voice acting and a lot of different stuff going on in the game as it happens.
And it's very playable at the same time.
Absolutely.
And interactive.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a great game. I loved it.
Yeah, me too.
And on the subject of 3D, Wolfenstein 3D has been released for the Commodore 64 128 with Super CPU, and it runs on Vice as well.
That's crazy.
But Super CPU is so rare. I think it's even less, available than, Cyberstorm PPC or, Sonnet now, G3 or G4. It's very, very rare.
Just a sort of an exercise in just because you can.
Yeah.
Did anyone ever see the guy running Quake on an oscilloscope? No.
No, I didn't. That sounds amazing.
It's ridiculous.
I've seen some demos running through the oscilloscope. To be honest, you know.
Yeah.
On PS2, I think, as far as I remember.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, a guy actually wrote a visual interpreter for an oscilloscope, and yeah, it's a very basic 3D engine that could be displayed on a scope.
Oh my God.
Ridiculous. You can. It's on YouTube somewhere. You can have a look.
Probably looks very cyberpunk.
Yes.
Yeah. Matrix like. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was in college, one of the projects you could do for the certificate year or diploma year, I forget which, was to use a circuit to create a smiley face on an oscilloscope.
Very good. Yeah.
Right, there's a new game in the making. It's called Blazing Guns, and the link will be in the description. And it's very smooth jump and run scrolling game. So if you have a minute or two, have a look, and I'm sure you won't be disappointed. The other one, because the previous one was on the Amiga, the other one is Sam's Journey, and this one is for C64. And Sam's Journey is a brand new original scrolling platform game, and it's about a cute little hero called Sam who finds himself on an unexpected journey in a strange world. Sounds to me like a mixture of creatures too, and Rainbow Island. To be honest, guys, have you seen any of these games?
Well, I know Rainbow Island, alright, but
I just know Rainbow Island, yeah.
Yeah, but and again, the graphics is so beautiful, and the animation is very, very smooth.
Not new, but relatively new. There's a game on the Amiga called Bridge Strike that's been floating around for the last few months, and that's a remake, if anyone knows of or remembers River Raid, which was a favourite of mine on the Atari, and it was on, a lot of the 8-bits at the time. But it has recently just been voted the winner for the Amiga Game Jam competition. So that's been running for since, is it November last year? They announced the candidates, and it's just been announced that Bridge Strike won that competition.
Okay, let's move on. Discoveries.
If you're interested in BBSs and stuff like that, just to let you know, guys, Amiga can actually emulate C64's PET-C terminal using two great applications, 64-door and color term. And these terminals very, very useful, and especially if you have a like a Wi-Fi modem, or like a modem for your Amiga, and you like PET-C graphics, and you'd love to visit Commodore 64 BBSs using your Amiga. So have a look and enjoy.
Right. I was going to say, might be able to pack away the C64 or just put it on display and get it off the desk.
No, nothing can change my heart if it comes to C64.
No, as soon as I had the thought, I immediately thought, geez, no, that's not going to happen. Right, my discovery this week, Frontier Elite paper models have been available to download. This is actually, the more I've looked into this, they're all over the internet. People who are into different versions of Frontier Elite. The ships looks different on different systems, and then there's different fan versions of Frontier, like Elite. which is an open source version of. Actually, it's an open source version of the first Elite. Really,
yes, I've been playing that one. Yeah.
So people have been making these these things you can print out. You can cut out the ships and fold them together, and make models with them. Anyway, Niklas Jansson has created a set of these, and they are absolutely stunning. They're by far my favourite of all of the ones I've found. And he's gone to painstaking effort to create these. So for starters, what he did was, when you're going to dock in one of the space stations, there's a sign that says 50 meters over your head. On Frontier First Encounters, anyway, it's there. So what he was doing was he would fly the ship up to that and pause it. And he knew from, I think, looking at the code, how big that sign was. So he flew all the ships up to that and got general, ballpark scales for all the different models of ship. But then somebody got on board to help him with it, and actually was able to use the original binary and get the geometries of the ships. So the actual 3D models, say, in the ship, they're specified. I think they're specified actually as just half a ship, and then the game, flips it to create a full model.
It mirrors it, yeah.
He wrote a program to extrapolate these and put them into a 3D program called Blender, and he added on the little extra bits that you need to fold them together, and they're stunning. I've built a couple of them. They don't take long to do at all, and I'll put a few pictures in the show notes for people to see. They're absolutely fantastic.
I'll have to get cracking on them as well now.
It took me ages to get off the first ship in Elite, which was the what was it, the something Mark II, the Eagle long range
the
fighter.
Eagle, yeah.
Yeah. I'm really fond of that ship. It was such. It's like your first car, I suppose.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But he was saying that there's kind of different kind of tricks used to generate that in the game. So
it uses curved polygons, which is a pretty interesting technique. And it's David Braben's baby, that he was able to come up with a way of mathematically generating these in the engine. It's very impressive, but it makes it awful for trying to make it out of paper. and as well as that, making an actual 3D version, because there is a GL version, and they kind of had to rework some of the models to get that working because of the curved polygons.
I didn't know they had to do that extra work. Also, another discovery, I found a thread on aros-exec.org where somebody has kind of catalogued hardware configurations for laptops and desktops that will run on Aros. So there's some really low-cost solutions there, and you can go online, find one of these really cheap, I mean really cheap machines, because they're so old. They're single-core computers and stuff like that, even though Aros supports SMP. So yeah, if you wanted a dedicated Aros machine, you can get one really cheap following this thread, and that'll be in the show notes.
There are a group of guys who preserve old source code, and they just, inspect it, send it to Aminet, and they've got, mailbox that you can send your source code, and they just, preserve it.
There are quite a number of uploads already that they've done, yeah.
For example, Shapeshifter. Yeah, and they've got an account on Twitter.
Yeah, so let them know if you have source code that you want to release.
And preserve.
Yeah.
For the future generations. Right, another thing is, I found, a book. The book is called Commodore, Sordid Tales from a BBS Junkie, and it's a collection of stories and memories that actually take place during the classic computer bulletin board era. And it's what the computer nerds used to do before the World Wide Web existed. I think it's worth checking if you like reading about, again, Commodore 64 and BBSs and, all that stuff that at that time was like magic and hacking and very interesting.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like worth a read.
If you have time.
Time's going to get short now very soon.
Yeah.
I have found a search engine called ecosia.org. It's a site you can visit, and they also have a plugin you can use on your web browser to make it default. But the reason I mention it here is it works on iBrowse, and I'm sure on the OS4 browsers as well. And it's a search engine that plants trees. They pay basically their staff, and then all the excess goes to the World Wildlife Foundation. And they release a report of their expenses every month, and The average is $10,000 per month donated to the World Wildlife Foundation, which is fantastic. They try to reforest as many areas as they can. So if you'd like to do something kind of altruistic while you're searching,
good stuff.
Amiga Paradise. So I'll start that one again.
Go
Amiga...
to the Paradise City.
Yeah.
Axl Rose wearing Commodore 64 bandana. Sorry, I just couldn't resist.
Yeah, Amiga Paradise is a website. It's Amiga music, game music converted to MP3. But they've got a really cool random button on it, which doesn't maybe sound like much, but it's actually really easy. Just go visit the site, whack the button, and keep doing what you're doing. And you don't have to navigate and find stuff with it. Yeah, it's a really nice site.
Very good.
Also, Classic FM plays game music once per week. It airs on Saturdays from 9 to 10 p.m. The show is called High Score, and that comes in from Stormkeeper on the Amiga Ireland IRC channel. So thanks, Stormkeeper.
That's very interesting. All right, must give that a look. But it reminds me as well of, just vaguely related, that this crowd a while ago did some crowdfunding and recorded all the music from all the Zelda games with an orchestra, with an electronic orchestra, and some of it with real orchestra and with choirs and the whole lot. And it's absolutely fantastic stuff. And so I don't have an address, but it's called the Zelda Reorchestrated, and you should be able to find it very, very easily. But it's lovely music, absolutely fantastic.
I found this podcast that I'm absolutely loving. It's called the Immortal C64 Podcast. And it's basically just an hour of C64 music mixed together like a DJ set. Really, really nice to stick on in the background when you're cooking or something. Also, Mambo's Amiga blog. He's got links basically to really good articles. So on Mambo's blog, he was figuring out the whole Amiga thing, and he was getting back into it, and he decided everything he'd learned he wanted people to be able to find easily. So he puts links up to stuff that's helped him get back on the road to using his Amiga, and that I actually learned about Shapeshifter there, getting open sourced. And he's also got another thread called Thor's Shell Hacks on amiga.org that covers OS 3.9, and there's some good info there if you're on that version. Art by Ollie, a website. So Banjo Guy Ollie does our music here for the gaming section, and he also does paintings, and he does a lot of game art from mostly Amiga, I've seen actually. So he's got stuff from Another World, Monkey Island, and I actually went out to visit Banjo Guy Ollie, and I saw his workshop and stuff, and he's got a separate gaming room with some arcade cabinets in it, and he's got, his MSX and his original first Amiga 500 he ever had. He's got a really nice setup, and his artwork is amazing. So I actually, a couple of days after I visited him, I saw something on the Art by Ollie, and I bought it. So it's looking at me here. So I'll put the link in the show notes. Some really nice paintings there, and I know somebody else has bought stuff off him as well. Got a really nice. It's a scene from Monkey Island.
That's just to finish off the discoveries. This has been knocking around a while. I discovered it a little while ago, but there's a small text editor for the Amiga, for Amiga OS, and it works on OS 1 all the way up, all the way through to 3.9, and probably beyond as well. But it's called Reddit, as REDIT, and it's a very simple text editor, but because it works on everything, and it's a lot more capable than the built-in ed row and column numbers, and it's just a much nicer editor to use than the default.
I've been using it for quite some time, to be honest, and it's a very good editor,
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, will we move on?
Yeah, go for it.
So, community news and events. We've got some past events that have wrapped up and have kind of posted some interesting thing for us to look at. What have we got?
Yeah, we've got VIP, a very important party that was took place in France there a little while ago. this covers several platforms, but there was a production from the Amiga this year that was ranked second in the old school demo contest, and that's available on YouTube, and the link will be in the show notes.
The other one is the Crunch 2117, finished today. It was held in Wrocław and Poland, and it had music, games, ray tracing, and a lot more other competitions. The production list will be in show notes description. So far, there have been released 2 great demos. One is called Enchantment Under the Sea by Resistance. It's an Amiga OCS demo. Very nice one, to be honest, very cute. And I like the music very much. The other one is kind of a surprise to me, because I haven't seen quite a lot of demos for MorphOS. This great group Encore, they've been doing a lot of PPC demos, around 2001, 2004. They've just become active again, and they've released a great MorphOS demo. And there's, like the ending part, which might really surprise you. I really encourage you to check it out.
Yeah, I'd actually like to see a MorphOS demo, because I'm assuming it runs on Mac Mini.
Mac Mini, G5, or PowerBook, G4, Power Mac as well.
And also just finished is the Posadas Party 2 Mega Blast that ran from the 2nd to the 6th of June. They had gamings, demos and more, and the link will be in the show notes for that. And on the 3rd of June, just gone as well, the Westchester Amiga user group had a meeting in Amiga Bill's basement. It was live streamed on the Guru Meditations YouTube channel, and the link is in the show notes. It looked like a lot of fun, actually, and there was an Acorn Archimedes snuck in there as well. There was a bit of conversation going on too on the camera. They had a couple of cameras set up, so a really nice job again by Bill and the gang.
Events that are upcoming, none in Ireland unfortunately for the moment, but we've got 2 events in the next week or so. So first we've got the Pacific Commodore Expo 2017. That's the weekend of June 10th 11th, and that's going to be held in the Living Computer Museum in Seattle. So anyone who's vaguely up that direction on the west coast should check that out. A link for that will be in the show notes. Also, a little bit closer to home, the Southwest Amiga Group is going to have a meeting in Swindon. So it's in the Swindon Makerspace, and that's on the 10th of June. So you can check that out. There's a thread about it in the news section of EAB. So I'll post a link to that as well. Great,
I love it. I love that all these events are still happening, even if I can't go to them all.
Absolutely, and it's nice, especially because the Southwest Amiga Group were they sort of disappeared for a while, like most Amiga groups. But it's great to see that these groups are cropping up again, like the Ireland group as well. That sort of just went to sleep for a couple of years, and now they're back and running.
Okay, let's move on to sports.
Go!
Okay, so the Amiga Super League, a bit of the highlights now. Nestoroid has completed a hat-trick, so he's won 3 leagues in a row. So it's Nestoroid from Spain, well done to him. Now they've opened up a 5th division, which is fantastic stuff, because they just had so many new people signing up to the Super League. That's great. So now 5 divisions to work your way up through every month, and the Spanish and Portuguese members have joined forces to form the Iberian League, and that's so we've got 21 players now in that. So that's 2 divisions just from the Spain and Portugal. That's fantastic. Now, in related news for them, every Wednesday in June and July, there's a Fun Cup organised. So that's separate to the main leagues. That'll be held every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Central European time. So that's an hour ahead for anyone in Ireland or UK playing. So 11 p.m. But anyone can come along and join in. Every time they play, there's a different theme. And so the upcoming one this week is national teams from the Americas. So you have to pick a team from North or South America, and that's interesting. So it should be good fun, and especially if you're just looking to get involved in the whole sensible world online, it'd be great to dip your toe in there. So the lowest ranked player will be assigned with the best team, and so on and so forth. So it evens it out. So even if you've never played it or haven't played it in the last 15 years or 20 years, it'll be good for you, because you'll get some of the most powerful teams. On the 14th of June, there's going to be a very special Facebook Friends Cup. There's going to be a Facebook event posted for that. We'll have the link there in the show notes. And again, anyone can sign up for that. And thanks again, as always, to Playvelli from sensiblesoccer.de for the updates.
Go!
Yeah, thanks, Playvelli. Cool. Okay, so a new section. Bada boom. Ask Amiga.
AskAmiga.com is a Stack Exchange style site specifically for Amiga questions and answers. So you can go onto it and ask your questions and see if anyone else out there knows the solution for you. And then good answers can be voted up and bad answers can be filtered out. And it's a nice format specifically for questions and answers, which sometimes makes us, because sometimes asking questions on a forum, they can get a bit lost in the discussions, and sometimes it's hard to find an answer.
The first one is on Markdown editors.
So the post goes, hello, are there any text editors for Amiga that support Markdown or multi-Markdown? Gold8 has an HTML plugin. I'm looking for something similar for creating Markdown documents. This is from Spectro, and he's also posted that he found a Lua script which converts Markdown to HTML. It's not an editor, but helps previewing Markdown documents, but it seems a bit buggy, so a better solution would be good. So you yourself there, Jarlath, posted about AbiWord.
Yeah, it wasn't helpful.
It's not something I know an answer to, unfortunately. So if anyone else has an answer, if you could pop along to the website and help out there.
Yeah, I had a look on Aminet and I didn't see anything there either. So I'm guessing the news just isn't good.
No, probably not, because if it's not on Aminet, it's not anywhere, I don't think. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm surprised actually. But I suppose Markdown is kind of a new craze in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not... it hasn't been something that's been big on the Amiga at all. The thing is, like he says, there is a HTML plugin, and you could probably either rework that or create one for Gold8, because as far as I know, that's relatively good for writing plugins for. So that might be an approach rather than looking for a new editor. Okay,
and the other question then is by Craig's Bar, and Craig's asking about steps required to remove Miami DX.
TCP stacks can sometimes be a little bit tricky because they tend to burrow their way into the OS directly, but the older ones are okay because in general they don't run until you actually run them. It's basically a case of removing the files that were put there. Now that can be a little bit tricky, but an easy enough approach is to look at the installer and use a log file whenever something's installed. That will keep a record in a text file of anything that the installer does. So any files that were copied or changed or moved will be in that file, and you can go through it and undo them, I suppose. It's not ideal. It's the nature of the Amiga's lack of package support, I suppose, that means that any package can put files anywhere. From memory, I don't think Miami is that big a thing. I think it puts some assigns in user startup, but that's about it. Other than that, it's mainly just a matter of deleting its folder.
I think if it comes to Miami, it's just removing the assigns from your user startup, and then just deleting the files. That's it.
Yeah, because it doesn't run on startup. Yeah.
No, nothing like that. So that's that.
It might be a good candidate for APP, app we covered before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, there was a replacement installer program that created uninstall scripts a while ago. Is it Installer NG or something along those lines?
But I think it's still it's not that compatible, just like the original 43.3 installer.
No, it's based on an older version.
Yeah,
is it?
yeah.
All right. If we could get in touch with the author of that now and get it updated, it might be nice. But I think a lot of stuff has been added since then to the installer language.
So in our last episode, we asked in our poll, do you go online with your Amiga or Commodore computer? And we got 54 votes in. And
that's a lot.
It's great.
Yeah. Let's see. So 65% at 35 votes was yes, I'm already online. 20% I plan to soon, and 15% Amiga can go online. Really?
That's quite interesting.
And very promising as well at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
We've got another poll. Do you code on your Amiga or C64? Yes, I code quite a bit. B, just a little, I dabble. And C, no, but I'd like to learn. And D, not me, no sir. I'd go, if I were to choose one, I'd go for D, because I I think it's just I'm just not the person to code, to be honest, and having a very little time recently won't allow me to progress in that direction, to be honest. How about you guys?
I'd be the opposite end of the scale. Well, currently, I know that it's all going to change.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, and I do code quite a bit, but it's one of those things that, and it was the same in my old job, that you kind of need to sit down with it and sort of get your head into the space for it, and then you can, start rattling off code and you get sort of stuck into it. But if it's 15-20 minutes here and there, it will never work. And it was like I had issues with that in my last job where the phone would ring and something else is broken, and by the time you get back to your seat you have to start again because you kind of like you forgot your train of thought. But yeah, at the moment, I code a lot.
I've been learning with Rob's tutorials on Amiga Future magazine, actually. So yeah, I have been coding a bit. So yeah, I can say just a little I dabble, actually. Yeah, I mean, I tend to have ambitions way beyond my capability or resources. Like before even the Dropbox handler was out, I was thinking, God, I'd love to make a client for Evernote that pulls my notes down in just plain text, something that's not too taxing for the machine, and then uploads the changes again. But after using Norbert's and seeing the kind of work, the complex work he was involved in before, that sort of gave him the opening to do it. I'm just thinking, yeah, like Rob was just saying, it's not the kind of thing you're going to get done on one weekend or in an hour or two here or there. So,
yeah, but ambition for beyond your means is a good thing to have, because that's the only way you really learn. That's it. Like I've never programmed anything for any network code really. Apart from just very basic stuff. But that's kind of I'm planning something like that now in the next while, and I'm kind of I know it's going to be a pain to get stuff working first, but I'm looking forward to it, because hopefully if I ever get to it, then I'll be able to say, look, I'm after creating a program that works on the internet and is able to send and receive data. It's good to have something there to stretch yourself.
There's a game that I can't remember the name of at the moment, but you can get it on an Android phone. It's a space based thing, and it's multiplayer. So what happens is you have a console. It's kind of a humorous game based on on the idea of the Star Trek people at their individual stations, and you have your station on your phone, and your ship is whatever is under attack, or you're going through like past warp speed or whatever, and things are kind of falling off. And the same thing's happening on their phone. But the thing is, the instructions on what you've to do, they've all got these crazy names like turn up the inflabulator and all these kind of silly names, but the instructions for what you've to do on your console comes up on another player's screen, and they have to shout at you to tell you what to correct. So it ends up with everyone who's networked together on their phones playing this. You all end up kind of shouting at each other the instructions on what to do, and good fun, a lot of laughter, which is a good result for a computer game.
Sounds like something I'm going to check out now.
Yeah, I'll find it and I'll stick it in the show notes.
Right, and as always, you can leave comments on our website or on social media, or just email them to podcast@amigausers.ie. And here are some of the comments from you.
Yeah, so PPPPPP2 sent us a message on our poll saying, hell yes, I like having a conversation somewhere Google isn't. So this was on our poll titled, do you go online with your Amiga or Commodore computer? I'm using this $25 solution, which works perfectly with the C64 and C128. So that's one of those networking devices. Yeah, so it's very like what I'm using as well at the moment. Yeah, thanks for getting in touch with us, PPPPPP2.
And from Slack Dastard, I have to be careful saying that. He says, while I do go online with my Amiga 1200 sometimes, I have no desire to go online with my C64. I think it's possibly just a bit too painful, maybe. I think, a bit hardcore.
It was a challenge getting the 1200 online. Actually, Luke, if it wasn't for you, if you hurt my shoulder to cry on a regular basis in the beginning there, I would have given up.
Jay, what a friend's for.
Yeah.
Right. And we've got a comment from Monty Moley as well. Here it comes. I love not being able to go online with my C64. It's a novelty these days. At some point I had a challenge for myself, like going online and going on IRC on as many machines I've got at home, you know, like, and it was really great.
Yeah. I think from flying a lot and traveling a lot, you know, something nice about just being not able to go online, you know, and just relaxing. And sort of dread the day when you know, people have conversations around.
Detach yourself.
Exactly. You know, it's a nice idea that I generally don't sign up to myself, but you know, I can see the appeal of being away for a little while.
Daniel Tidwell has done a cover of the Monkey Island theme on, you know, heavy metal guitar. It's really cool. So we're going to play out with that, and thanks to Daniel for the permission to use it. Also thanks to Virtual Dimensions and Banjo Gaioli for music. And just before we go, we've got another interview coming up in 2 weeks. It's going to be released with the Ireland's Sensible World of Soccer champion Kenny Gahan, and that's going to be a really fun interview. Okay, thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks very much. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Take care.